We begin tonight's episode of Wild Sports Talk, folks, on this Monday night, October the 5th, 2020, with some breaking news reported earlier in the day, folks. That comes courtesy of the NFL, and the Houston Texans, after a 0-4 start, have chosen to fire their head coach and general manager, Bill O'Brien, after the team's 0-4 start, coming in wake of comments made by Coach O'Brien today, saying that he was not concerned about his ball club's 0-4 start to the NFL regular season. Good evening, folks. Alongside Isaiah Leung and Jonathan Mathis, Callan McClurg from the home studio here in San Diego. Isaiah, we'll start with you, buddy, on this tonight. As mentioned, breaking news, as we have already talked about. But again, the Texans officially canning of longtime head coach and GM Bill O'Brien following the team's 0-4 start. Probably, I think, as well, Isaiah, in wake of comments made by Coach O'Brien on Monday that he was not concerned about the ball club's 0-4 start. Isaiah, overall thoughts about the firing of Bill O'Brien by the Texans organization earlier on Monday?
All right, before I get into my thoughts about the Bill O'Brien firing, if you guys notice what's on my T-shirt tonight, I am here to announce that I'm not voting for Biden. I'm not voting for Trump. I am voting for our MI6 presidential ticket, McClurg and Mathis 2020, man. That's who I got for this 2020 presidential election. I'm here to support my guys. I know they're going to win the election. But about Bill O'Brien's firing, Callan, John, I'm not surprised at this firing, to be honest with you guys. I think that this firing was coming. The surprising part, I think, for all of you guys is going to be what I'm about to say, and that is I honestly don't believe that Bill O'Brien was fired mainly because of football reasons. I really don't. I think that the football reasons and the fact that the Texans started 0-4 was the tipping point in getting him fired. But I think he got fired because of his inability to get along with anybody in the Houston Texans organization. This guy, in his entire tenure with the Houston Texans, he made the playoffs every season, I believe, except the only year in which they didn't make the playoffs was his first season as the head coach of the Houston Texans. I would say that's a pretty darn good job done by Bill O'Brien. In fact, many teams would take that. I know they were 0-4, but I think that given his track record, they would have given Bill O'Brien more time to turn it around and not just fire him in the middle of the season after the first 4 games. I believe the real reason why he got fired, as I said in the beginning, was because, this guy was just a jerk. He couldn't get along with anybody. He clashed with Rick Smith, the general manager who brought him in from Penn State to be the Houston Texans coach. Rick Smith was he was a really good guy. He's good at talking to other people, good at having great relationships with other people. So it was just really puzzling when Bill O'Brien just couldn't get along with him, and the Texans decided to fire their longtime general manager, Rick Smith, and let Bill O'Brien choose who would be the general manager of the team going forward. And Bill O'Brien chooses Brian Gaine, who was reportedly very friendly with Bill O'Brien. They had a great working relationship. And then 2 years later, Brian Gaine gets fired because the reports say that he and Bill O'Brien clashed. So again, the Texans, they decide to let Bill O'Brien choose who's going to run their front office. And Bill O'Brien decides to bring in Jack Easterby as the president of the Texans, whom Bill O'Brien and him, they have a long relationship from their days in the New England Patriots front office. Bill O'Brien names him the president of the Texans, and then he gives himself full power of football operations, and then he proceeds to make a bunch of stupid, idiotic decisions like trading away DeAndre Hopkins for a washed-up David Johnson and a pack of Texas barbecue brisket. And then you hear today, he and Jack Easterby, his hand-picked president, they clashed. So I think that this guy made a lot of stupid decisions in terms of personnel, and he just couldn't get along with anybody. And I think that at the Houston Texans, at the end of the day, they couldn't agree on who would call plays on offense for the Texans. And they just looked around the room, and I think they came to their senses who the real problem was, and that is Bill O'Brien. Because if you're looking at all the cases, the Rick Smith case, the Brian Gaine case, and now the Jack Easterby case, there is one single domino that is in each case, that is the same, and that is Bill O'Brien. So Bill O'Brien just couldn't get along with anyone. So I think that's the real reason why he got fired. And you guys know this. I don't care whatever business you're in, you have to be able to get along with people. If you don't get along with people, you're going to be out of a job. So Bill O'Brien, that's why he's out of a job. I think he's a better fit for college, because in college you don't really have to get along with anybody. You can just do your own thing and run football operations however you want. So I think that would be a better fit for Bill O'Brien moving forward.
John, I think Isaiah's onto a great point and tangent here, bud, in regards to Bill O'Brien, in regards to really, clashing heads with the front office, clashing heads with fellow general managers. And, Isaiah said it best, though, especially when you work in professional sports or sports in general, if you can't gel as a unit, you're not going to win football games or win games in general. And John, you just heard that list of all the GMs that was, pretty much shown the door by the Texans and by Bill O'Brien. So, John, your reaction to the news today coming out from Houston, Bill O'Brien now gone as team GM and head coach of the Houston Texans earlier on Monday.
Well, Bill O'Brien leaves Houston as the winningest coach in franchise history. So he obviously did something right to stay in his position for quite some time. Like Isaiah said, this team constantly got to the playoffs. They didn't really miss a beat under Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien did win football games, and that is the ultimate goal for every coach in any sport. As long as you win, there is job security for you most of the time. But like you guys pointed out, he's bumped heads with, general managers. He just didn't get along with the people in the front office, and this cost him his job. And remember this too, guys. He also traded a top 5 receiver. He traded DeAndre Hopkins. Apparently, he wasn't getting along with him as well. Decided that it was time to move on. How can you trade a top 5 receiver, someone who, has a tremendous impact on your team? You take away that weapon from Deshaun Watson because you have issues with him inside the locker room. I mean, come on now. It hurt the team more than it has helped them. And the time finally came to an end for Bill O'Brien. But again, he was the best coach that Houston's ever had. I don't think anyone can argue that. That's a fact. You hate to see the guy go because of what he was able to accomplish. Still, this Texans team has never reached an AFC championship game. They're one of 4 teams never to reach the Super Bowl. Hopefully they find their breaking point. Let's see what they do moving forward. Who's the next guy up? I mean, sometimes we see it all the time. Coaches, when something goes wrong, they become the fall guy. And this 0-4 start was, a sign of bad things to come. It just didn't look good for the Texans starting off. And I think when you hear Bill O'Brien say that the 0-4 start is not as bad as it looks, to me, that sounds like a guy that's in denial, about the organization. It seems to me that he realizes that he has failed his team, but he doesn't want to admit to what he has done to set his team back. It just didn't look good for Houston, and now it's time to go into a new direction.
So once more, folks, big news of the day in the NFL. The 0-4 Texans firing longtime GM and head coach Bill O'Brien after the club's 0-4 start. Again, mainly more so, I think, though, Isaiah and John both made great points in regards to maybe the roster procurement again as they dealt away DeAndre Hopkins earlier in the offseason, and also, of course, the clashing of heads with former GMs and also perhaps blowing out other head coaches as well, guys. Some reaction here in the chat box. First and foremost from James Gonzalez, guys. He says, I would say it's like a breath of fresh air firing O'Brien for Houston, but then I remember they don't have a first-round pick in the next draft. And then Stephen Wang also says, the Texans lose again. The Texans lose again. 8 years of losing continues on and on. I think they've only been in the league like about 8 or 10 years. Isaiah, I think, wanted to make a point. Isaiah, what do you got for us, buddy? Isaiah, you're muted.
My bad, guys. I just want to say that I think the coach for the Texans, the next coach for the Texans cannot be Adam Gase. I heard Tom Pelissero today on NFL Network, when they were talking about the O'Brien firing, he said that the Texans, if Adam Gase is fired from the New York Jets, they are going to pursue Adam Gase. If you hire Adam Gase or even pursue Adam Gase, I think Cal McNair needs to sell the team because you're replacing one bad coach for an even worse coach. And that's not right, man. You're not supposed to replace something bad with something even awful. It just makes no sense whatsoever. So if Adam Gase becomes the new Texans coach, someone help me. Someone please help me.
But Bill O'Brien really isn't a bad coach. He just, again, just clashed with people. I mean, sometimes when you bump heads with people, that could be worse than what you could bring to an organization talent-wise. You could have the talent. You could have the knowledge of the game. You can have all of those things. Okay, that stuff is great. But does your personality rub people the right way? Are you able to
valid point
with people? Because if you're not, that could divide the locker room. Not only does that divide the locker room, it kills team morale and it could destroy team chemistry.
Absolutely.
A lot of teams with tremendous talent, with coaches who are masterminds, but they don't have control of their locker room. Why? Because they want so much power and they make it all about them. And I think it came a time that Bill O'Brien really abused his authority and it cost him in the end.
Isaiah, go for it.
Oh, John, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Bill O'Brien is a bad coach. I think he was a good coach. I just think that if you go from Bill O'Brien, who has a history of rubbing people the wrong way and clashing with GMs and getting them fired, to a guy in Adam Gase, who he's already terrible schematically, he also rubs people the wrong way. I mean, in Miami and also in New York, this guy has gotten general managers fired because he hasn't been able to get along with them. So I think if you're going to go from Bill O'Brien to Adam Gase, potentially, that's like going from bad to way worse.
Yes, agreed. That's actually that's a train wreck right there if you hire Adam Gase.
Yeah, absolutely. Christy agrees, though, if they're smart, they need to stay away from Adam Gase. He's a toxic coach, and I agree, though. And I think more so it boils down, in my mind, fellas, to some of the Jets defensive players calling out Adam Gase in the media for some bad practices over the past several weeks before the team hit 0-4 recently. But again, folks, the big news of the day, though, as mentioned, Bill O'Brien, Texans head coach and GM, fired earlier on Monday by the Texans organization. With that, guys, some very epic and awesome news to report from all of us here from the MI6 Sports Network here today, as we already had folks talked about a little bit, but we, again, folks, cannot say enough great things about all of our great listeners and live viewers who make the network go round and round. But, folks, we can confirm for you folks, though, that the MI6 Sports Network is proud to announce that we have surpassed 700 listens via the Anchor podcast app that distributes the podcast throughout every podcast app out there. Apple Podcast, Spotify, you name it. But again, folks, we are, over the 700 listens listens mark via the Anchor podcast app. So again, folks, we thank you all very much for your support. And also, folks, with that, we're also debuting a brand new thing on the podcast app called The Six Shorts, where we are now going to be featuring some of our favorite Power 5 segments from No BS, but also as well, we're giving Isaiah Leung plenty of time to talk about some of his great things too. So you'll have all the shorts, folks, will feature, again, Power 5 segments from No BS with myself, Isaiah Furman, and Trevor Williams. And also as well, folks, Some of the most hottest takes from Isaiah Leung will also be featured over the course of the short series. So Isaiah, Stephen Wang wanted me to report that news today. But again, man, big milestone for the network. And also people can actually listen to you, for one, sing the Vikings lose again. And also as well, here's some of your most hottest and looniest takes of the time being here on the 6th. So Isaiah, for one, man, overall thoughts on the milestone, and also, man, overall thoughts on the debut of the 6 shorts, where, again, we have plenty of very small clips that we have accumulated over the past several months here on the 6.
It's great, 700 views is phenomenal. When we first started this network, I mean, we didn't even dream of getting 200, let alone 700. So it's really great to see how far we've come. About the whole MI6 shorts, I think that's a fantastic idea. Like, people need to laugh, people need to be entertained, and it's a really great it could be a really great start to your day, because if you're having a bad day, just turn on one of me or John or whoever's MI6 shorts and listen to us, and whatever loony take we have, or whatever crazy idea that we have, you can just listen to it, and it'll just make your day even better. But Callan, man, I'm very disappointed that you forgot to mention that we're doing new McClurg Mathis merch. I mean, come on, man. Look at this awesome t-shirt. Look at this amazing logo.
For some reason, the T is like smaller than the rest of John's last name. And also, for right now, I think we can put the campaign on hold until the Padres-Dodgers finish their series starting on Tuesday. So we'll hold off on that for right now. But I do like the idea, though. I love the design. And, John and I have done some shows before he even joined MI6. McClurg and Mathis did, in fact, go live for a little bit before we joined the 6 earlier in late July. But, John, man, we were given a platform here, you and myself, and also Isaiah and John and Stephen letting us come aboard. So, John, how does that feel, though, man, seeing, for one, a campaign slogan, I guess, and also, though, man, 700 podcast listen for those of us on the Anchor app as well?
I am flattered by this. I am completely humble. I, am excited for great things to come. I mean, you know what? We just have fun with this. We enjoy talking sports, and I know I'm speaking for you guys as well. But I guess we can agree that we all enjoy what we do here. And to see that this is constantly growing daily is just unbelievable. It's amazing. None of this would be possible without the audience. None of this would be possible without those 700 listeners. It's just amazing. So I want to take a moment to thank them for taking the time out of their night, investing their Mondays and Wednesday nights to listen to what we have to say about some of the hottest sports topics across the country. It's just unbelievable to me. I'm moved by it. And, it's hard to put it into words how, thankful I am to not only share this platform with both of you guys, Isaiah and Colin, but to also share it with the listeners. It's great. It's great for everyone. Thanks again. I can't express my gratitude, for all of this. It's wonderful, and we look to keep pushing forward, and hopefully 2021 is a better year. We'll have a lot more great content for you guys coming up. Just bear with us as we still learn, as we are still learning, still prospering. I'm new to podcasting and this video stuff. I'm more of the writing type. I'm the guy who likes to tell stories with his mighty pen. But now I'm starting to, get more confident in front of the camera with you guys, and I enjoy being in front of the mic more now than I do actually using my mighty pen to tell amazing stories. So once again, I want to thank everybody, and this is just awesome. It means a lot.
Yeah, believe me, folks. I'll have more to say about this during my final thoughts tonight in regards to the news. Again, folks, 700 listens on the Anchor podcast app platform. So again, folks, it's via Spotify, Apple Podcast, you name it. So I'll have more, or at least I'll have more about that a bit later on in the show. But again, folks, thank you all heavily, and thank you all so much for again your constant support. And again, whether it's live viewership or archive listens, again, we all thank you all very, very much for your outstanding contributions to our program. It makes all of us better, and again, gives us a reason to get up in the morning and enjoy talking sports at this late stage of the evening. With that, guys, let's now move over into some of the playoff baseball kicking off today in the American League Divisional Series. First, the A's and Astros getting underway up at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, California. The Oakland A's in a home run derby affair, though, but sadly unraveled by a fielding error by Marcus Semien and a 4-run Astro inning leads Houston to a 10-5 Game 1 upset over the Swinging A's today, but take the 1-0 lead over Houston. Isaiah, you're not safe from the scrutiny, man, but sadly, I think this is a game, though, that Oakland would have won, though, 99 times out of 100 if that play by Semien would have been made cleanly, though, but sadly, man, does not go Oakland's way, and some big-time clutch hitting by the Astros today. And also, though, man, the long ball, a big story for both teams, though, at Dodger Stadium this afternoon. Again, the hot weather, no real breeze. The start time, as we already had talked about on Sunday, the weather not really out of control, but the ball in the air flying out of Dodger Stadium this afternoon. Isaiah, give us the lowdown in your thoughts about the A's going down in Game 1 to the Astros, again, by a 10-5 count from Chavez Ravine earlier today.
Callan, I don't know where to start, man. I'm just very heartbroken right now. I was very heartbroken already last night from the Niners losing, and then the Lakers losing, and now the A's choking away a game in which they absolutely should have won. That's why I brought myself a bottle of Coke to, drown my sorrows in. Here at the MI6 Sports Network, we don't encourage drinking alcohol beverages. We encourage drinking soft drinks. So this is what I'm going to use to drown my sorrows in. But about the game, I think the A's lost because of three factors. The A's lost this game because, first off, the Marcus Semien error, man. That is an absolutely unexcusable error by Marcus Semien. Callan, do we have the clip of that Marcus Semien error?
Yes, we do. Let me go ahead and roll it for you here.
5 in a row retired by A's pitching. By the mound, slowly hit. It's Semien, the shortstop, bobble with the throw.
Yeah, just kind of hit off the heel of that glove, and
These are not going to challenge.
Yeah, he beat it.
Yeah, you guys see that play right there? That was the biggest reason why the Oakland A's lost that game. It's because Marcus Semien could not handle a routine ground ball. Like, I'm sorry, that is a routine ground ball right there. You have to be able to handle that and throw the guy out. This Astros offense, they are very, very potent. They are very, very dangerous. Any mistake that you make, they can capitalize on it and have a big inning, and that's what happened here. You had you were up 5-3 in the sixth inning with 2 outs and nobody on base, and that small error by Marcus Semien lets Josh Reddick get on base, and then 6 batters later, the Astros have a 7-5 lead. So that error by Marcus Semien was absolutely inexcusable. He has to make that play, and it was really costly for the Oakland A's. The second reason why the A's lost is because I don't know what's going on with the Oakland A's bullpen. I really don't. They've been fabulous all year. I think they were one of the best bullpens in baseball all season long. They had a 1.79 ERA, lowest ERA in baseball among bullpens in the regular season. And they have gone out in the postseason, and they have just completely not shown up. This bullpen, the A's allowed 11 runs to the White Sox in their entire 3-game series. The bullpen gave up 7 of those runs. And then today, the bullpen goes out there in a 5-3 game, in a game that you normally win. Chris Bassett gave you 5 solid innings, and the bullpen can't do its job and, do what they've always been doing, and that is shutting down the opponents. It just really befuddles me. I don't understand it. The bullpen has to get better because if the A's have a leaky bullpen, they're not going to win this series, let alone go to the ALCS. And last but not least, the other factor why the A's lost is what I've been complaining about the A's for the entire regular season, and that is their inability to hit or do the little things and get runners that are in scoring position over to third and get them in. The A's, I believe, with runners in scoring position thus far in the playoffs, they are a whopping 3 for 40. That's just atrocious, man. You can't have that happen. You can't leave that many runners out there to dry. So the A's lost this game because of the Semien error. They lost because of the bullpen's inability to shut it down, and they also lost because they just couldn't do the little things, and they couldn't get the sac flies, get the runners home with less than 2 outs. And they deserve to lose that game with all the things that I just listed.
John, if you ask Marcus Semien, about that play, he would probably say, I make that play every time, and it just happens to take a bad bounce or maybe kind of got in a bad feeling position. I know I've been in that spot before as a middle infielder where you're so used to making that play, and it just happens to clank off the glove, and then bang, it's 4 runs across the board for Houston. But John, more so, I think about the game though, more so for the ball flying out of Dodger Stadium today again with that with the start time, middle of the day, hot weather, the wind not really knocking balls down today up there in Los Angeles. But John, I think more so, sadly in my mind, I think it probably boils down more so to probably the A's. As Isaiah said, though, the A's hitting with men in scoring position more than it's about maybe the error by Marcus Semien. But John, give me your thoughts about this game as Houston again wins over the A's 10-5.
That sounds like somebody I know, Colin and Isaiah. That sounds like a team here in Los Angeles. That sounds like the Dodgers. The Oakland A's and the Dodgers have something in common. They can't hit with runners in scoring position. I mean, come on. That is the time when you have to drive in runs, when you have runners in scoring position. You can't leave runners stranded, especially not in the playoffs, because that's when every run matters. And, you could have the best power lineup in all of baseball, but if you're not producing, what does it matter? And that's what we saw today from the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's hit plenty on Monday afternoon. They were swinging the bats. Chris Davis hit a 2-run home run. You had Sean Murphy homered in the third. You had Matt Olson, who also homered. You had guys hitting, but they weren't able to drive them in with runners in scoring position. And that is something that plagued them today in this game. I mean, they're going to have to find a way to manufacture runs when it matters. Get those runners in. And you talk about Marcus Semien era. I mean, it's a routine play. That's a play you got to make. That's a play that they teach you in Little League that you have to make in the big leagues. And unfortunately, it didn't go his way. Can that shrink their confidence? Sure it can. Can you bounce back from it? Absolutely. I think Marcus Semien will be fine. But if Chris Davis continues to hit the ball like he has, then I'll say the A's have a chance to win. I think in order for the A's to win, they're going to have to hit with runners in scoring position. And that's the most irritating thing to me in baseball. Is when you have the runners in scoring position, you just don't produce. It's frustrating. It really is. And I know it must be frustrating for A's fans.
Definitely. I mean, especially when you have the game, pretty much, this back and forth game going on, you go ahead, they go ahead, you tie the game, you go back ahead, like a game of momentum pretty much. And sadly, that momentum changes with that error being made by Semien. With that in mind, Isaiah, we'll go back over to you. I know you want to add some more thoughts about your Oakland A's. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I think the biggest turning point in the game was the bottom of the fourth inning and the bottom of the fifth inning. You know, I wasn't watching the game because I was at a doctor's appointment, but I was following it on my phone on the MLB app. And I just kept saying, you know, the A's, I know they had, I think it was in the bottom of the fourth inning, they had the 3-0 lead, or it was like 3-0. And then in the bottom of the fifth inning, I believe it was 4-3. But I was like, when they took that 3-0 lead, I was like, you know what? With how potent this Astros offense is, that's not enough. That's not enough to beat this Houston Astros team. So after Murphy hits the home run in the third inning or in the fourth inning, the A's got back-to-back base hits by, I believe it was Tommy La Stella and Marcus Semien. They had runners at first and second. Like I've been saying all year, you have to get those guys to second and third with one out and then get one of them home with a sacrifice fly. That's an easy run right there. And also in the fifth inning as well, Matt Olson, he unloads on Lance McCullers Jr., gives the A's the lead right back. It's 4-3. And then what happens next? Chris Davis, base hit. Robbie Grossman with the base hit. Ramon Laureano with the double. Runners at second and third, nobody out. And what happens? The A's don't get any runners home. You could have scored not just one run in that inning. You could have scored 3 runs in that inning if you had done the little thing and gotten those runners in with a sac fly or an RBI ground out or whatever. So it's just so frustrating, man. The A's, this one was a game that they needed to win, and it just slipped away. And, you know, I'm really worried about game 2 because, you know, Steven likes to talk about his choke theory and stuff like that. In baseball, the choke theory is somewhat true because when a team suffers a really devastating defeat like the A's did today, in which, you know, they had this game in the bag and they just lost it, they come out flat in game 2, and the A's cannot afford to come out flat in game 2 or else they will be looking at a 2-0 hole in the series. And last but not least, I think you have to give a lot of credit to Sean Murphy, man. How about that guy? That guy, I've been saying on this program a lot, I think he's a younger version of JT Realmuto, and he's looking like it right now. He swings a really good bat. He has a lot of power. He's a very good defensive catcher. He has a strong arm. Just look at what happened when he threw out Altuve today with that cannon of an arm. So, Sean Murphy, keep doing your thing, man. You're going to be really special in baseball for years to come.
Definitely agree. So, again, folks, as mentioned already, the Astros winning over the A's today 10-5. At Dodger Stadium to kick off their ALDS matchup in the neutral site bubble up in LA. With that, we'll shift gear, fellas, to a game. It's about ready to go final pretty soon here, but the Yankees currently leading Tampa Bay at Petco Park in San Diego 9-3. This has been pretty much home run derby as well at Petco Park tonight. John, I know, buddy, we'll start with you on this one, but I know, man, that the Rays and Yankees are probably a very compelling matchup as well in the American League Divisional Series. So, John, give us your thoughts about this series and also the fact that Blake Snellman was not on his A game for Tampa Bay against New York tonight in San Diego.
Yes, you guys know that Stanton hit a grand slam, right?
Oh, my goodness.
That is a scary sign right there that Stanton is healthy. If he's hitting like that, the Rays don't have a shot of winning this series. I'm just gonna come out and say that right now because if Aaron Judge and Stanton gets going, this series is over. And that's no disrespect to the Rays because the Rays have had a wonderful season. For it to be an abbreviated season, the Rays really, had an incredible run. I like Blake Snell. He's one of my favorite pitchers. I think he's, an ace. I think we all know that. He's won a Cy Young Award. He's just a great pitcher. But, I mean, it just wasn't a great game tonight for the Rays. I think the Yankees, made a lot of noise tonight. They're making it known that they belong. That they have the other resources in case a guy goes down in their lineup. They can still compete at such a high level because they have other names in there. Maybe not household names, but they have names and guys that can still, produce for you. The Yankees look good. I know it's just one game. It's game one. But you know what? The Yankees might be on to something here. Remember, they went through a tough time during this abbreviated season. There was thoughts at some time, there was moments where it felt as if the Yankees weren't going to make it to the postseason. They got it together in time, and they made that run that they needed, and they got into the postseason. But the Yankees are looking like the Bronx Bombers. You got guys, man. You got DJ LeMahieu. You got Aaron Judge. You have Gio. Help me with his last name. Marcella. You have Luke Vault. You have all these guys, man, that can just come up at the plate and do some damage, some real damage. So, I like this Yankees team. They're off to a good start, but this is still a series. It's still a best of 5. You got to win 3 to move on. So I don't expect the Rays to fold. I don't expect them to go down without a fight. I think they'll bounce back in game 2. I think they'll have a bigger game in game 2. Remember, these games are not played at anyone's home. These are neutral site games. So anything can happen in these games. But I think the Rays are not done. I think they will respond. These two teams hate each other. That's why this series is so compelling, because it fueled the rivalry. We haven't really seen much fireworks yet, but hey, we still got some games left.
Yeah, there's plenty of games left, John, as we, in fact, move along here. As mentioned, folks, the Yankees, as of now, in the top of the 9th inning, leading the Rays 9-3 here in San Diego at Petco Park. Again, all the DS Series, folks, being played in bubbles, neutral site venues for all of the games due to, again, the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Again, the National League playing their 2 series down in Texas, and also the American League playing in Los Angeles and up in here in San Diego. As we bring Isaiah back into the fold here. Isaiah, as mentioned, buddy, Yankees currently still leading the Rays 9-3 right now. By the way, John mentioned that Stanton hit a grand slam. Oh, by the way, he hit that grand slam, fellas, right here in Slam Diego, California. How does that not surprise me that there's grand slams being hit, even when the Padres aren't even playing at home in the postseason? But Isaiah, obviously, man, the Yankees, though, getting to Blake Snell early in this ball game, working the pitch count up, great at bats, and also, man, home runs across the board for both ball clubs today. Isaiah, overall thoughts? And I think, though, John's on a great point, though, that if Judge and Stanton actually, Christy has a great point here. Judge and Stanton, though, they are unstoppable. But I think that John's right, though. If they're both moving and grooving, the Yankees are very scary. So, Isaiah, give us your thoughts on the series between Tampa Bay and the Yankees right now going on at Petco Park in San Diego.
Well, Cal and John, I think that we said it best last night on the night shift, and that was when we were talking about this series, was the Yankees would go as far as Judge and Stanton takes them. If Judge and Stanton are slumping, then the Yankees aren't going to do anything. But if Judge and Stanton can go off, then they will go far in this series. And, that's what we said on the night shift last night, and it's come to fruition. Judge had a home run tonight. Stanton hit a grand slam tonight. These two are the ones that helped guide this New York Yankees team. And I think for the Yankees, it was very important for them to get to Blake Snell early, simply because Blake Snell is a fantastic pitcher, and to give Garrett Cole a lead tonight. And, the Yankees, they did that. And when you give Garrett Cole a lead, he is very, very tough to get those runs back from. So I think that the Rays, they have to, strike early in game 2, and they've got to, watch out for Judge and Stanton.
Definitely, for sure. And if the Yankee lineup gets going, man, they are super terrifying to play against. And by the way, Steven had a quick comment here. about the Texans head coaching spot. Clay Helton will stay with USC longer than Bill O'Brien stayed with the Houston Texans. And also, Steven says, choke theory, eye emoji. Isaiah, what do you got for us, buddy?
When Steven originally made that comment, I actually thought he was saying that he was wanting Clay Helton to be the next head coach of the Houston Texans. I was like, on the inside, I was celebrating. I was like, yeah, man, go ahead, Texans. Go get Clay Helton. Get him out of LA and USC. It would make USC fans so happy. And then I reread the comment. I'm like, oh my God.
Stephen Wang out here making Isaiah lose his mind. But again, folks, as mentioned, Houston over the A's today, 10-5, and still bottom of the ninth inning, but close to going final. New York over the Rays right now, 9-3 at this juncture down in San Diego, California, here at wonderful Petco Park here in America's finest city. With that, Isaiah, we'll go to you, man. We've tried to get the story in the past couple of shows, man, but we've been interrupted. But we were, for one, interrupted by breaking news on Saturday in regards to the reports that Martin Garcia had relayed to us in the MI6 group chat regarding a potential coaches having some concerns about pausing the regular season because of COVID outbreak concerns, and also as well never got it in on the Sunday program. But again, Isaiah, the Phillies have finally Matt Klentak, the now former GM of the Phillies, stepping down a couple days ago from his post after back-to-back failed attempts to get into the postseason with Bryce Harper. Isaiah, I think it was probably a matter of time to see this happen in my mind with Philadelphia finally telling Klentak to take a hike. But give us your thoughts and reaction to the Phillies firing Matt Klentak after his role as the team's GM over the past several seasons in Philadelphia.
Well, my reaction to this when I first heard it on Saturday afternoon was, I think it was this kind of the same as all the Phillies fans across the board, and that was we were jumping for joy at this news. You never want to hear anybody lose their job, but I think Matt Klentak absolutely had to go. The guy, he wasn't a terrible GM, but he was a bad GM. He couldn't get an extension done with JT Realmuto. So if JT Realmuto, the Phillies star catcher, leaves in free agency this offseason, it will make the trade for that we traded Sixto Sanchez, one of our top prospects at that time, for JT Realmuto. It would make that trade look even worse. He hired a puppet to start his tenure in Gabe Kapler. That didn't work out. He did bring in Bryce Harper, but he didn't bring in anybody else to surround, like any other talent to surround Bryce Harper with. And, you know, we've been saying a lot on this show about how atrocious the Phillies bullpen really is. Matt Klentak is kind of like all the other analytical nerd GMs out there, like your Farhan Zaidis, your Andrew Friedmans of the world, Billy Beans of the world. They just don't put a lot of stock into the bullpen because the analytics say, like, you don't have to invest in the bullpen. You can just go get relievers off the scrap and just put them in there, and they'll do very well. And like Matt Klentak abided by that theory, and that hasn't worked out in Philly, as the Phillies blew like 35 saves or 35 games this year. You have to have a bullpen to win in October, or to get to October at this time for the Phillies, because we know what wins late, and that is bullpen. I don't care how many runs you put up, if your pitching cannot pitch well and you squander a ton of runs, you're going to end up losing the game. So Matt Klentak had to go. I think the guy that the Phillies should really look out to replace Matt Klentak is Theo Epstein. Theo Epstein reportedly is going to meet with the Chicago Cubs owner, I believe, in a couple of days to determine his future with the Cubs. There's already reports that he's not going to sign any extension. It's just a matter of time before he exits the Cubs. So that's a situation to watch out for, because if the Phillies can go get Theo Epstein with his great knowledge and great insight, and also pair him with Joe Girardi, I think that would be a great match. And another guy that Phillies reporters have tossed out there because of his relationship with Joe Girardi is a guy that I'm cringing at, and I hope they don't hire him, and that is Billy Epler, the former Angels GM. He has a relationship with Girardi, but he didn't really do anything in Anaheim, and he was really bad in Anaheim as well, so I really don't want him. The guy that I personally want is Dave Dombrowski, because Dave Dombrowski, as we've seen, he's an old school guy, just like Joe Girardi. He's a guy that pushes in all the chips to win. And Philly, they need to do that. They need to push all the chips in to win now, because you signed Bryce Harper to a 10-year, $330 million contract. He is in his prime right now. If you wait like 3, 4, 5 years to push your chips in, it's going to be too late, because at that time, Bryce Harper is going to be at the downfall of his career. So the Phillies, I think they should get Dave Dombrowski to be their new GM.
John, what do you make about this situation? Man, I think more so that sadly for Philadelphia, for the Phillies, right now the Bryce Harper contract looks like it's getting worse and worse by the minute, or maybe the hour or the day more so in my mind. Again, 2 straight years of having Bryce Harper and not reaching the postseason. But again, though, I think as well, though, that Isaiah hit the nail on the head, though, about Matt McClurg. Spending money, yes, but in the wrong areas. And also I think the Sixto Sanchez trade, or being a part of that trade for JT Realmuto, has really, I think, hurt the Phillies perhaps with their psyche and maybe set them back a couple of years. But John, your reaction to Matt McClurg's firing, and what does this do in your mind for the Phillies going forward into the future?
Well, Matt McClurg did what he could. What I liked about him is that he was not afraid to spend money. He would spend the necessary money to help make the team better. But you know what? He was doing the same thing each time, expecting different results, never getting any of those results. And, like you guys said, the Matt
McClurg.
Yes. But the Bryce Harper deal, it just looks terrible. It looks like it was a bad decision on his part. But then where he also went wrong was hiring Gabe Kapler. That didn't work out. You didn't address the bullpen needs like you should have. That bullpen was just atrocious. That bullpen was a hot mess. I watched several Philly games, and it was just bad. So it's mistakes that he made that didn't work out for Philly, and Philly just looked like a terrible baseball team. They had heavy expectations placed upon them because they had a guy named Bryce Harper, because they had a proven manager in Joe Girardi, and none of it went the way they expected it to go. It was just all bad for Philly.
Yeah, very bad for sure. Again, sadly, 2 straight years of the Phillies going to the not making the postseason. Again, Bryce Harper and that contract. Again, through 2 years, not the return of the dollar that the Phillies were hoping for. But again, folks, Matt McClurg, the longtime or most recent GM of the Phillies, again, fired, or at least stepping down from his post, I should say, in that role as the GM of the Philadelphia Phillies. With that, John, we'll go back over to you as we, in fact, get ready to wrap up week 4 of the NFL football season. Man, as mentioned, another great slate of games on Sunday. Of course, sadly, though, the Steelers and Titans game postponed again due to COVID concerns. The Chiefs and Patriots get to play their game on Monday Night Football earlier in the evening on Monday, again, due to their own COVID concerns. John, maybe give me the one or the most notable games you watched on Sunday and what stood out in your mind during the course of week 4 of the NFL season. Go for it, big fella.
The Cowboys are a disaster. They're a train wreck. They need a general manager. Jerry Jones has to sell the team. They need to just blow the entire team up. And start from scratch. There is no way in hell you lose to the Cleveland Browns. That was embarrassing. The Cowboys, they can't stop the run. They can't stop anything. It's hopeless right now. It looks lifeless for the Dallas Cowboys. And Dallas Cowboy fans right about now have to be very, very frustrated with this organization and Jerry Jones. You know what? I've said it time and time again that the Cowboys aren't going to, return to, championship form until Jerry Jones sells the team. Or if he doesn't decide to sell the team, hire a general manager. The problem is he wants too much power. He wants too much control of the franchise. And because he wants too much power and too much control, it is, detrimental to his organization. It's not helping anything. It's not changing the fact of the matter. It's making the situation worse. And the Cowboys aren't going to win a championship. They're going to be waiting like they've been waiting since the mid-90s, actually. That's how long they've been waiting for a championship. They're going to continue. Those fans are going to continue to wait. And I hate to say it, that they've been held hostage for many, many years because Jerry Jones does not want to give up the power. He wants to be the authority figure. He wants to be everything. He wants to be the team owner. He wants to be the coach. He wants to be the general manager. It didn't matter that they changed coaches. Jason Garrett has a job, and he's probably laughing at the Dallas Cowboys right about now because they fired him. They brought in Mike McCarthy, who won a Super Bowl in Green Bay, and this team is still hot garbage. I just don't know what more I can say other than Jerry Jones has to give up some power or sell the team.
Guys, Christy Wilson actually just echoed John's sentiment right here. The Cowboys have been needing a GM for years, but Jerry Jones has no intentions of letting go. And I will say this, though. Jerry Jones has got to be the worst micromanager in all of professional sports, in regards to wanting all the power and all the authority. And it's all about the Super Bowl. Well, Jerry, you got to have someone else help you out, man. You can't be having that stressful of a job or jobs, plural, at that age, I would also say. But, Chris, you definitely agree, though, about your thoughts about your Cowboys. So, Isaiah, John's going to roll with the Cowboys being upset by the Cleveland Browns on Sunday for the most notable game in his mind. How about your most notable game, maybe outside of your Niners losing to the Philadelphia Eagles practice squad on Sunday?
Yeah, before I give my thoughts on that, I just got to just report some breaking news right now. Furman Lee, one of our fellow co-hosts here on the MI6 Sports Network, you can catch him on No BS every Friday, just reported that Aaron Rodgers went down with a knee injury in that Packers-Falcons game. I don't know what happened. I don't know the severity of it. I don't know if he's back or not. So I'm just throwing that out there. Aaron Rodgers has gone down with a knee injury. But as far as my the game that stood out to me, I think that because I've already ranted so much about the Niners, I don't need to go on anymore about them. I think it's got to be the Rams and the Giants. John's team. The Giants offense, like I posted on Facebook, the Giants offense look absolutely putrid. I don't know which offense is worse in the state of New York between the Jets and the Giants. Good Lord, I hope we never get a Giants and Jets matchup because that would be truly the toilet bowl right there. But I mean, the Giants, they just run a very vanilla offense. Jason Garrett has no creativity in his offense. You saw it yesterday. I know they're missing Saquon Barkley, but still, you can dial up some misdirections and other creative trick plays like that to get the momentum going, but you never did that. The Giants, their offense just looks really bad. It just goes to show you that, it shows you that I think the Giants are ruining Daniel Jones. I think just like the Jets are with Sam Darnold, I think that Daniel Jones needs to get the hell out of New York. And who knows, maybe my high school football team's defense could stop this Giants offense with how pathetic they are.
I would agree about the Giants and their woes right now, fellas, in regards to it. I can, though, confirm, though, Isaiah, the early report from Furman Lee, though, but Aaron Rodgers did return to the game for Green Bay and help run up the clock in their 30-16 victory over Atlanta. So the Falcons now fall to 0-4 on the season after their loss tonight in Green Bay. But again, folks, despite we thank Furman Lee for the news, though, about the Rodgers injury, but can't confirm, though, that Rodgers came back to finish out the ball game for the Pack offense at Lambeau this evening. Guys, I would probably go, I'm right there with John, though, in regards to the most notable game being the Cowboys faltering to the Cleveland Browns fellas, who again are now, they have a winning record for like the first time in forever. And, just more so again, I think it's all though about Dallas. Again, 2 games in a row, though, they tried to dig themselves out of a huge hole, though, in regards to being behind the 8 ball and literally just getting torched across the board in regards to running plays, wide receivers throwing touchdown passes, despite the fact that Nick Chubb is out, though, with for the Browns with that injury he suffered, though, sadly, in the game on Sunday. And also definitely that the Cowboys are in a world of trouble. But with that, though, they're in trouble, but they're in the worst division right now, fellas, in the entire NFL. Again, that NFC East division, absolutely dreadful right now. And Christy Wilson, real quick, says the Giants' offense is bad, and their offensive coordinator is none other than Jason Garrett, who has no creativity whatsoever. With that, Isaiah wanted to add on to a point about the Cowboys. Isaiah, what do you got for us, man?
John, I think you made a point earlier when you were going on your rant about the Cowboys being really bad about Mike McCarthy. I don't think Mike McCarthy is to blame for the Dallas Cowboys' woes. Their offense is fine. Their offense is amazing. They're putting up a ton of points every game, and that is Mike McCarthy's MO. He's an offensive guru. The defense is what is causing the Dallas Cowboys problems. And my big issue is with Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. Mike McCarthy, when you first got the Cowboys head coaching job, why the heck did you hire Mike Nolan to be your defensive coordinator? This guy, before you hired him in this past season in 2020, he hadn't been a defensive coordinator since 2013. He had been out of the NFL for 7 years. And when he was last in the NFL, he got fired by the Atlanta Falcons because their defense was ranked number 30th in the entire NFL. So I don't understand that hire one bit. Mike Nolan should have never been the Dallas defensive coordinator, and it is showing right now.
Definitely agreed with the Giants and also as well with the Cowboys having their own issues right now.
100%. I agree. Mike Nolan wasn't a great coach either.
No way. Definitely agree with you fellas right there about the whole situation with the Giants and also as well with the Cowboys as well. And also Christy says that she does not blame Mike McCarthy at all, but defense has just been Swiss cheese the past two games, in my opinion, for the Dallas Cowboys. With that, John, 2 Monday Night Football games today, again, by virtue of the positive cases with the New England Patriots, and they were facing the Chiefs today at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. But, of course, though, man, this time it is the KC defense moving and grooving to give me a fantasy victory over Isaiah, 26-10 KC over the Pats today, and that stifling KC defense coming to the forefront today in the ball game, again, just getting all kinds of pressure for the Pats. And also, man, the Patriots having a big-time revolving door at quarterback today, both Jared Stidham and Brian Hoyer getting playing time today. But sadly, though, man, the KC defense steps up to the plate and hits a home run today for the Chiefs. John, overall thoughts on this matchup, again, as the Chiefs win 26-10, and also, again, their defense, who's been pretty much questioned all year, man, definitely doing some work today and laying down the law against Bill Belichick's Pats tonight from KC.
My bold prediction is that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to run the table. They're going to go 16-0. I can see that happening. They have a realistic shot at going unbeaten this season. They have the best quarterback in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes. The guy is amazing. He is sensational. He could damn near do anything he wants on the football field. He torches defenses with his ability to throw it down the field. He tires out the defensive fronts that he plays against because of his nifty footwork and his ability to scramble, buy time, elude the pressure and get a throw off. He's just amazing. But today the defense did its job. They were brilliant. They stepped up in a big way, took the Patriots out of the game. The Patriots didn't look like the Patriots that we've known for so many years. Of course not. They don't have Tom Brady anymore. This Kansas City Chiefs team is going back to back. I don't see it any other way. I don't know why they wouldn't go back to back unless they have a significant amount of injuries. I don't see that happening. Hopefully not. Hopefully everyone can stay healthy. We all know how well Anthony. We all know. Look, my name's tonight. We all know how tremendous of a job Andy Reid has done, and he's very creative on offense. That's why a guy like Patrick Mahomes works brilliantly in this offense. They can run plays and they can execute it really well. And, I just don't see anybody beating the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs' toughest test was against the Ravens, and they passed that test. So you look at their schedule from here on out, and I think the Chiefs are going to just run the table.
So John's got the Chiefs running the table, Isaiah. A couple of comments real quick. Patrice writes in saying moving and grooving with the starred eyes emoji. Yes, moving and grooving. That was the KC defense against New England tonight. And also Christy Wilson says, don't know about 16-0 though, but do you think that the Chiefs are going to have another amazing season? I would take 15-1 or 14-2, honestly. But again, Isaiah, honestly, though, I know the Pats, though, Bud, were very shorthanded, though, in this ball game, as mentioned. Jared Stidham and also Brian Hoyer getting majority of the snaps today in the ball game. But more so, though, Isaiah, man, the KC defense steps up to the plate, though, in a big-time way in this ball game. But also, I think just more so for New England's sake, though, I would probably not put a lot of stock in this ball game without Cam Newton. But at the same time, though, I know that a lot of people had talked a lot of praise about Jared Stidham in training camp, but man, did not look very good today for New England. Isaiah, overall thoughts about KC winning this ball game more so with their defense winning it, more so than New England's offense blowing it tonight from Arrowhead?
My thoughts on this game is that the Kansas City Chiefs are making me look worse than Skip Bayless. I mean, Skip Bayless is already a bad
Wow.
Skip Bayless is already a really bad commentator with all of his atrocious takes. But my take of saying the Broncos were going to win the AFC West this season is looking worse and worse by the millisecond. Callan, maybe you can give me a presidential pardon and, let me change my pick from the Broncos winning the AFC West to the Chiefs. But that KC defense, I got to give them credit, man. I talked a lot of stuff about how bad that KC defense was going to be this year. I said my junior high school football team would run through them, and they shut the Patriots down. I know, granted, that the Patriots didn't have Cam Newton, but it was really impressive tonight. They've been really impressive all year long. They stymied Deshaun Watson. They stymied Lamar Jackson, and now against this Patriots team, only giving up 10 points, doing what they needed to do tonight. And, sadly, I got to say this. Brian Hoyer, I think, needs to retire. He looked really bad out there tonight. I don't know why this guy keeps getting quarterback jobs. He was really bad with with my 49ers. He couldn't throw a pass to save his life. And today he just looked really bad out there. He got benched in the second half for Jared Stidham, and Jared Stidham looked really bad as well. The Patriots need Cam Newton back as soon as possible, because if Cam Newton misses any more time, New England's in big, big trouble. And, if they didn't have Cam Newton and they had Jared Stidham starting or Brian Hoyer starting, this Patriots team would easily only have 2 wins on the season. So New England's got to get Cam back as soon as possible, and props go out to that Kansas City defense.
And again, folks, the Chiefs win the night 26-10 over the Patriots, and they improved to 4-0 now on the NFL season. And John, with that in mind now, man, how about we segue over to the game that just wrapped up from Lambeau Field again? The Packers take down the Falcons tonight to send the Falcons down to a 0-4 start. Again, as mentioned, we had some news about Aaron Rodgers, but thankfully, per reports and per watching some of the end of the game on my computer next to me here on ESPN.com, can't confirm that Aaron Rodgers did in fact come out to end the game with 2 minutes to go. But again, John, Green Bay, I think this is now their division to lose now in regards to how the Vikings have been off to a slow start. The Bears having a very dreadful offensive day on Sunday versus the Colts, and this might in fact be Green Bay's division now to lose in my mind. John, overall thoughts more so on this game, but also, John, now at the loss for the Falcons, though, too, man. Does this now mean that Dan Quinn is next in line to be fired after the team is now 0-4? What do you think?
Yes, now that the team is 0-4, I think you got to start looking for a new head coach. Dan Quinn's time there is up. Shannon, I think it was Shannon Sharp. Yeah, it was Shannon Sharp that posted on Twitter that they needed to fire him that Sunday that they had collapsed. That's a little bit harsh to fire him right after a game. But at some point, you have to dismiss him. You have to relieve him of his duties. Look, it's not working out anymore. I understand that he's an expert when it comes to defense because that's Dan Quinn's specialties, defense. But what are they doing defensively? What are the Falcons doing defensively? Not much of anything. They're not stopping the run. They're not, breaking up passes, or anything of that nature. They're not doing anything. They're getting blown out by teams. They for 2 consecutive weeks, they gave up leads. They had big leads and they squandered their opportunities to pull out a big victory. I mean, it's all bad for the Falcons. It's time for a change there. They need a cultural change. They need a structural change. They need to put Dan Quinn out of his misery and start a coaching search because it is getting ugly for the Falcons. And quite frankly, it's very embarrassing to watch.
Especially after you blow 2 games of back-to-back huge leads again against Dallas, against Chicago, and you can't hold on to those massive leads. Christy agrees, John. I think that Dan Quinn is a goner if, in fact, that they perhaps go in that direction. But again, Isaiah, Green Bay over Atlanta 30-16 tonight from Lambeau Field. Again, as we had talked about, though, but Aaron Rodgers left the game for a bit with a knee injury, came back, though, and was looked to be back at 100%. Maybe just a bit of a stinger, perhaps, or one of those minor ones that was maybe a setback, just to probably, give him a breather. But Isaiah, overall thoughts on this game and more so, what's next for Atlanta? Another ball club with a 0-4 start, and also what's next for Green Bay as they, in fact, hold on to first place right now in the NFC North.
I agree completely with you guys. I think that Dan Quinn's voice has ran its course in Atlanta. I think that he needs to go. I would fire him probably tomorrow because you're 0-4 now. Your chances to win your division with how stacked your division is gone by the wayside. And I just think that for the Atlanta Falcons, I think what they need to do is go out and get an offensive-minded coach because when you look at the Atlanta Falcons back when they made that Super Bowl run back in 2016, it is so clear now that Kyle Shanahan had a massive part in that team reaching the Super Bowl. Because if you look at it without Kyle Shanahan, the Falcons without Kyle Shanahan, the Falcons have been an utter disaster. And they have gone backwards ever since Kyle Shanahan left the Atlanta Falcons to be the next head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. And, it was never about their defense. The reason why they went to the Super Bowl that year was because they had a high prolific offense and their defense was just bend, don't break. So I think they need to go out and look for an offensive-minded coach to help Matt Ryan get back to where he belongs, and that is to the playoffs. Because with a quarterback as talented as Matt Ryan, you can't be missing the playoffs each and every year. You just can't. It's kind of like it's not as bad as the Angels always missing the playoffs with Mike Trout, but it's kind of like that. So the Falcons, they need to go out and get an offensive-minded coach to help Matt Ryan. I think that Dan Quinn is definitely a goner. And a place for Dan Quinn that I think you should look at as far as his future is concerned is San Francisco because, Kyle Shanahan and Dan Quinn, they're very, very close. And there's a lot of rumors that Robert Saleh, the 49ers defensive coordinator right now, is in line to get a head coaching job this offseason. And Dan Quinn might slide in there to replace him and be the DC of the 49ers.
So a very interesting development right there, folks. But again, Green Bay over Atlanta 30-16 again. And perhaps who knows what, in fact, might be for Dan Quinn's immediate future down in ATL as the ball club now falls to 0-4 on the season. And with that, guys, we'll move into our final segment now, guys. That is the NBA Finals Game 3 recap. And John, obviously, I think Laker fans have been very accustomed to a throwaway game so far in the playoffs. Again, Game 1 and both of the first 2 rounds, Game 3 in the conference finals, and now Game 3 here in the NBA Finals against the Miami Heat, 115-104 on Sunday. Heat over the Lakers, a very poor shooting night for the Lakers, very sloppy play. And really, I think the game was over after the first quarter of play, but the Lakers got back in it, but were never able to get over the hump, sadly, in the ball game led by Jimmy Butler's 40 points for Miami. John, give us your thoughts and your analysis of this Laker loss again, and perhaps a game that I think, John, a lot of us that our Laker fans saw coming eventually.
Yeah, it's been like that for them throughout the course of these playoffs. They would get the gentleman's sweep. So it's not very concerning that the Lakers lost. Now, I would be concerned if they lost Game 4 tomorrow night. Let's say they go out there and they play, extremely well. They play like the Lakers that we've seen in Games 1. Like that game they played against Portland where they wore the Mamba jerseys and that was Kobe night. If they play a game like that with a lot of intensity and a lot of energy and they lose to a lackluster Miami team, then that's when you raise concern. But don't push the panic button just yet. I expect the Lakers to have a bounce-back game. I expect Anthony Davis to go off tomorrow night. I think he will bounce back in a big way. You know what? Every time he's had a bad game, he's responded. So I expect a lot from him tomorrow. I coming into this series because of the way he has played throughout the playoffs, I have placed, lofty expectations on him, and it's only because of what he's been able to accomplish with this Laker team. You expect a lot out of your big man. He's one of those guys that can put up numbers. I think what he needs to do early in that game is do what he's been doing. Attack the basket. Get inside the paint. Dominate the paint. Out-rebound the Miami Heat. Get to the free throw line. That's a big thing for Anthony Davis. Get to the free throw line. If he gets to the free throw line, he out-rebounds, and he attacks the paint, the Lakers win this game. They don't need much from LeBron. Not scoring-wise. They need LeBron to be the distributor. Let him, be a playmaker. The only time they need LeBron to be aggressive is in the fourth quarter if he has to take over and shut it down. You don't need Kyle Kuzma to score 19 points a game. You don't need guys like Alex Caruso to put up 20 points a game. If you get Anthony Davis to put up 30 points, and we're not asking him to score 40 or 50 points a game. No, we don't need that out of him. But if you get 30 out of him and at least a good 25 out of LeBron, you're going to win this game. And that's something we didn't see in Game 2. Another thing that killed the Lakers were turnovers.
Yes.
Turnovers. They were handing the ball over to the Miami Heat as if they were handing out donations. I mean, it was frustrating to watch. It was sloppy basketball at times by the Lakers, and the turnovers, that the turnover ratio is what really killed the Lakers. And the Miami Heat, they capitalized on those turnovers. They were able to turn them into easy points. They got out in transition, made things happen. And then another thing for the Miami Heat that worked in their favor, to their advantage, was that Jimmy Butler, for once, played like a superstar that he is. He had a monster performance last night. He was the it factor in Game 2, and he kind of changed the narrative of the series a bit. Do I think they're in trouble, like he says? No, the Lakers are not in trouble. The Lakers have a dynamic duel in LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and they're not going to let this happen another night. I'll be very surprised if this happens again. Tyler Hero had his moments in the game last night. He played better. The bottom line is here, guys, the Lakers were outplayed, they were out-hustled, and they were out-rebounded, and the Miami Heat just was the better team on this night. That doesn't mean they take the series. I think the Lakers win the next two, and they'll be crowned NBA champions.
Isaiah, I think you and I had kind of spoken our piece on Sunday's episode of The Night Shift, though, but more so, I think John, though, hit the nail on the head, though, buddy, in regards to the game. The Lakers' sloppy play, so many turnovers. I think they had 9 turnovers in all of game 2. They got, I think, 9 or 10 in the first quarter of game 3, and you knew right then and there that this game was going to be going down south. But I think, though, Isaiah, like we said, though, man, I will say again, though, man, but so much props to Jimmy Butler for his play. Again, 40-point game. And again, this is still without Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic. But again, though, Isaiah, the Lakers, honestly, I think we knew it was going to be happening eventually, or it was going to happen in the series. We kind of have that one game that he'd probably take off. They don't play your best. Again, the Lakers, very, very sloppy, a little bit too flashy, too much pizzazz on their play last night. And that really killed them in the end, though. But Isaiah, overall thoughts on game 3 as Miami at least grabs one game in this series over the Lakers?
My thoughts on it is, like I said last night, the Lakers, I think they bought into the hype that the media was throwing around that, oh, this is going to be an easy sweep for the Lakers. They just need to show up at the arena and they're going to win by 20 or 30 points. And the Miami Heat just said, hey, man, that's not the case. You can't just show up at an arena and expect to win by 20, 30 points. You have to play with the full intensity that is needed in the NBA Finals to win a championship. And the Lakers, they didn't show that. They, like John said, the Lakers were out-rebounded. The Lakers committed so many turnovers. The Lakers the Miami Heat played great defense. The Lakers didn't. The Miami Heat shot better than the Lakers from three-point range. The Lakers didn't. The Lakers I think, went to the arena expecting to win this game by just showing up, and Miami just pretty much said, you can't do that. And Miami, I got to give credit to them. They played like this was their game 7. This was the game that Miami needed to win, and they showed it while the Lakers didn't bring that intensity whatsoever.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to give credit where credit is due. And that, of course, goes to the Miami Heat for how they, again, performed, folks. 115-104 Heat over the Lakers in Game 3. The Lakers still lead the series 2-1, but Game 4 coming up on Tuesday down at the Orlando Bubble at the Walt Disney World Resort Complex in Orlando, Florida. With that, gents, we'll now segue to tonight's Final Thoughts. Final thoughts time here, folks, as we wrap up another edition, our 24th episode here of Wild Sports Talk on this Monday night, October 5th, 2020. With that, Isaiah, we'll stick with you, man, for your final thoughts for tonight's program. Again, man, covered a lot of the big stories as mentioned, folks, but once more, Bill O'Brien, the former head coach and GM of the Houston Texans, fired earlier on Monday after the club's 0-4 start. I still think, though, perhaps in wake of his comments saying he was not really flustered or concerned about the ball club's 0-4 start. Also, of course, baseball playoffs getting underway on Monday, and of course, as well, 2 Monday Night Football games, as well as the Chiefs beat New England, and also the Packers roll the Falcons also on Monday. With that, though, Isaiah, how about your final thoughts for tonight's show?
My final thoughts is I just want to thank all the viewers that tuned in tonight, guys like Christy Wilson, who has tuned into basically all the shows here on the MI6 Sports Network. She tunes in every night to the night shift. She tunes in every night to No BS. She tunes in every night to Wild Sports Talk. And she also tunes in every night to Fan Response. Callan, you've said multiple times, and I got to echo your statement. She needs to be given a top fan badge. She absolutely deserves it. James Gonzalez as well, and also Tyler Work. And a bunch of others that I'm forgetting their names, but they all need to be, they know who they are. They need to be given their top fan badges because they absolutely deserve it. But I gotta, say my piece about this ridiculous nonsense that is the Laker fans starting petitions to have Kyle Kuzma and now Danny Green not receive their championship rings if the Lakers win the championship. I think like
Wow.
I think over 2,000 people have signed that petition for Kuzma not to receive his championship ring if the Lakers win the title. And I think over 1,000 signed it for the Danny Green one that was just created today. Listen, those Laker fans that did that need to be absolutely ashamed of themselves. I mean, just to do this to these players, these players, they're not trying to be bad, okay? They're not trying to be bad. They can't help it. They're trying their very best out there. I can fully assure you that. These guys, Kyle Kuzma, man, he's been through the ups and downs of the Lakers from the young core to when LeBron got here to last year's atrocious year to now finally this year and on the brink of winning a championship. He's been through it all. And for Danny Green, I mean, this guy, he might not, his stats might not be that good in the box score because his threes might not be falling, but hey, he gives you great defense in when you're playing basketball. And without his defense, I guarantee you the Lakers would not be where they are without Danny Green's defense. So all those Laker fans that signed those petitions, you should be absolutely ashamed and embarrassed of yourselves. And as a fellow Laker fan, I am very disgusted to call you Laker fans as well. You don't deserve to be Laker fans if you're doing that.
Isaiah dropping the hammer on the Facebook or the petitions, and Christy agrees. Another one, good grief. Pretty much in a roundabout way. But, John, we'll go back to you, or go to you now, man, for your final thoughts for tonight's show.
Yes, it's the same thing Isaiah said. I want to thank you, Christy, because I know you're watching right now, right here. Thank you for your love and your outpouring support. You know what? You've been awesome, and we really appreciate you. And, we want to thank you for, tuning in to every show. I don't think you missed a beat, and that's just amazing to me. I want to also thank the other guys, James, if I'm saying his name correct, whoever else has been following us religiously. Thank you as well. It means a lot. And you know what? Don't pay attention to that petition. That's Laker fans that obviously don't know what they're talking about. Most likely millennials. And no offense to any millennials out there, but a lot of these young guys now, they expect too much out of a guy like Kyle Kuzma. They want him to be this next Kobe Bryant, next superstar. I hate to break it to you guys, but he's not going to be that guy. He's a role player. That's what happens when you have these people out here thinking that he's the second coming of Scottie Pippen. No, he's not. Stop. He is not. So because he has these expectations placed on him, and because he's not playing to their liking, now they have to come up with a petition to try to say that he does not deserve a championship ring. You know what? That's ludicrous. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Anyone that's on a championship roster is going to get a championship ring. He has contributed. He has had some moments where, he scored points and helped the Lakers win ball games. No, he's not consistent. No, he doesn't show up every single night. But, man, come on. Leave the man alone. Give him his props for what he's been able to do, and appreciate him as the player that he is. Let him continue to grow. Let him continue to blossom and embrace his development. Don't be so hard on the guy because he doesn't play the way you want him to play, or because he hasn't met those expectations that you placed on him. Because he's not playing by your standards, you're going to create a petition and say that he does not deserve a championship ring? That is ridiculous. Yes, he does deserve a championship ring because he's had some big moments for us, and those who continue to ignore what he's done defensively. If he's breaking a lot of shots, but he has the quick hands to strip the ball and turn it into quick transition points, then I'm going to praise him for that. You know what? It's not just about shooting or having a three-point jump shot. It's about doing things on the other end of the floor as well. And Kyle Kuzma has done that. He has been a great defender from what I've seen.
Danny Green
too. Frank Vogel has worked with him, helped him out. I don't know what happened, but I've seen transformation in his game, and I've seen that he's become a much better defender. So give the man a break, back off of him, just leave him alone and let him play, and embrace this moment. There's so many negative Laker fans out there, and sometimes I question their fandom. Are they really Laker fans? Are they diehard Laker fans? Because they find the little things to complain about, like Kyle Kuzma and Danny Green, and they don't look at the bigger picture. Those guys are role players. They're not superstar players. The superstar players, the ones that have to really carry the team on their back, are LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And if you're getting those huge numbers from them and you have other guys contributing in other ways, then, hey, you're winning. And that's all that matters.
John, just out of curiosity, in your mind, which fan base is worse, Laker fans or Dodger fans?
Living here in Southern California, I have to say they both kind of equal out. It's close. It's a close race. But I would say Laker fans if I had to choose one. And that's because Laker fans are all over the place. And
oh yeah,
and a lot of Laker fans can be a little cocky, can be a little arrogant. I know I could be like that sometimes as a Laker fan, but a lot of the times it's just me being a playful person, just me trash talking, messing around. That's all it really is. It's nothing serious or anything. But I would say Laker fans, because Laker fans have this certain bravado about themselves. And a lot of Laker fans have a sense of entitlement that, that things are given to this fan base, that, every player has to be this good or has to be a superstar. No, it's not going to be. Every player on your roster is not going to be a superstar. And there's been players on just about every roster that has contribute in some kind of way. They maybe not living up to your standards, but they contribute in some way, and Kyle Kuzma has done that. But I would say that the Lakers have the more annoying fan base, and then the Dodgers come second.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty. It's got to be like 1A or 1B for sure. Also, real quick, as a reminder, folks, for Stephen Wang, MI6 episode shorts have been released today, and more are set to be released over the coming days. They feature some of Isaiah's most outlandish takes in our Power 5 list. So again, folks, it's all a part now of the brand new initiative here on the network to again give you some more content. But again, folks, episode shorts have been released today, and more are set to be released over the coming days on the podcast app, featuring some of Isaiah's most outlandish takes and also the No BS Power 5 list as well. And as a reminder, folks, proud to announce over 700 anchor listens. So again, folks, a major round of applause to all of you. And again, like I said, folks, I was going to share my thoughts about this. And again, folks, like I've said, I've been working in sports media. What was that, Isaiah?
Callan, I got a question for you. So you were talking about the MI6 short, right? Would the video of me saying that I would take the Denver Broncos to win the AFC West over the Kansas City Chiefs, that lunacy, will that be on there, my man?
Wow. That's all up to producer Wang, sir. I can't confirm nor deny, but Steven's in charge of all this, all of the short episodes, so I cannot confirm nor deny if, in fact, that will be on there. But I'm sure it will be, because if it's going to be your outlandish takes, then absolutely it's going to be. And Christy says, God, I hope, because that was crazy. So definitely Christy wants to play that on loop consistently. But again, folks, I was going to give my final thoughts here. on, of course, again, the very awesome news. Again, folks, we have surpassed 700 listens via the Anchor podcast app. Again, folks, that app is free. You can, of course, find the podcast for the 6 across your favorite platforms on Apple, Spotify, you name it. But again, folks, I've been working in sports media for about 11 years in regards to announcing, writing every so often, mainly play-by-play, color commentary, public address announcing. And I have dived into podcasting since I was in college. And a lot of times I've been a part of podcasts that have started up and kind of went downhill after a while. I've started a podcast covering women's basketball that went for about 5 years, and I had to stop doing it because of my work schedule. And then, like I've said, folks, here plenty of times, is that when John and myself came to join the Six, thanks to Stephen and Isaiah's olive branch back in late July, and we were kind of hovering around maybe 1,000 people liking our content on Facebook. We were kind of also talking about going to having a website. That was in part to Martin Garcia and his hard work of putting that thing together for us. And then, like, literally our first week on the job, with John and myself coming to the MI6 Sports Network, like literally the Facebook page likes just went, literally boom goes the dynamite, like we do here, folks, on our program. It's kind of our calling card here on Wild Sports Talk, is all the outlandish nonsense that goes on here. Again, we have the the gifts, we have the dance battles, we've got Isaiah singing the Vikings lose again, all the other nonsense that goes on here, and also Stephen telling Isaiah, be careful what you wish for, with the smirking face emoji about that take being a part of these shorts. But then, though, folks, with this, whole thing going on, and definitely Stephen agrees. Shout out to Martin Garcia, our resident Fresno, California native, for his amazing work putting together the website for us, folks. We'll get back to writing about that very, very shortly, or at least back to work on that in the not too distant future. But then, though, folks, I've said this a couple of times, though, too. I don't want to go too long here, but I have a lot of thoughts kind of get off my head in a very short amount of time here, is that in the time being here, I don't know if I have seen, a group of individuals work as hard at making something that, as a reminder, folks, we are not paid to be here every single day of the week to give you folks our thoughts on the sports world. We're not getting paid quarters, nickels, dimes, pennies, dollar bills, or, Brinks trucks to be here. We're all doing it out of either, for one, to stay sane during the pandemic, as I've been trying to do, but also, like a lot of us, like John, they're fairly new to the whole podcast industry. And then you have Stephen and Isaiah, who've been doing this for a while. Myself, I've been doing it for a while, but I don't know if I've been a part, though, of any group project or a team effort like we have been here since July, or since we've been here for about the last 3 months, though, and seeing all of the continuity and the team chemistry. Yes, we bicker and banter about our teams. Like John and I are going to be starting tomorrow in our group chat, because the Padres play the Dodgers starting on Tuesday for the NLDS. But again, like John said, though, it's nothing, I'm going to kill you because you root for the Dodgers. It's none of that. It's just more so playful banter, stuff like that. So there's nothing that's going to go wrong here. But in regards, though, and also, like I said, though, I don't know, though, if I've been a part of more pre-show conference calls, post-show conference calls, random conference calls in the middle of a work day or in the middle of the day, just to but not only that, though, we do these as well, folks, to plan out our programs, to talk over ideas. Like today, we've kind of debuted a couple of new video elements here. That was all my work today via iMovie. And I don't know, folks, because I've not really tapped into video editing or audio production. I do a lot of audio production with my work as a voiceover artist as well. But literally, when I have sent either graphics to Steven or videos to Steven, it's like the poor guy loses his mind seeing all the stuff that we're able to pump out here. And like I said, though, the continuity, the chemistry, and again, seeing everyone here, from Steven to Martin to Ryan and to Shri and all the guys here, that are even a part of our group chat, or usually don't pop on the show, though, but they've been so inclusive and so welcoming to John and myself and everyone else a part of the network. So again, that's my piece for the network. And of course, to all of our viewers out there, Christy, Casey, Angel, James, Tyler, Shardal, anyone up there that is tuned in. Again, I thank you all very much. And again, we all thank you as well again. For all of your sensational support. Again, as mentioned, it does not go unnoticed, folks. I know, of course, we always say that we wish that you guys had top fan badges. I'm sure you guys are going to be getting those eventually. If anything, I know for a fact, like we have said, folks, I know that Stephen Wang, and we've been discussing T-shirts, and we've been talking about merchandise, months down the road. When in fact we get a little bit more popular. But believe me, folks, if you've been a loyal viewer like Christy, if you've been a loyal viewer, believe me, we have you at the top of your list or top of our list for some type of MI6 swag. Because I don't know though, folks, because like I say though, whenever it's a morning program I'm doing on the Quarantine Network or on here, like I always say, we will take your input, folks, and we love to, of course, see you guys. Like I've said, folks, a couple times again. I know I'm kind of going off, kind of off the rails here with my final thoughts here. But like I always say, though, folks, is that when I get up in the morning, and I'm sure that John and Isaiah and I think anyone else here that works in the media or in the sports media, or at least on here, would probably say. But in my case, when I wake up in the morning and I know that I have WST on Monday or Wednesday, or I have the night shift, or I've got no BS, that makes my day that much more special, because I know I'm going to be with a great group, a great group of hosts, a great group of guys who, again, share the same passion that I do for the sports world, but also this is one ginormous family. I know that we all live miles and miles and miles away from each other. Again, most of us are parked in California, but of course we got guys that, in Ohio and across the country. But again, though, just, to maybe send that one, a playful message like, hey, John, beat LA or something like that. But that's what makes sports great. And that's what makes this network great. And more so, it's a collective effort amongst all of us here, but also, folks, we would not be where we're at, though, with all of the support, though, from you great fans out there. Like we said, folks, we literally went from about 1,000 people in late July to well over 4,000 likes on Facebook. And again, folks, 700 listens via the Anchor podcast app. And folks, believe me, I will say it right here and right now. When we get to the 1,000 listen mark, we're going to have ourselves a spectacular 1,000 listen spectacular that will probably, folks, have every single person a part of our network joining us for like a 2-hour special. I used to do that, folks, when I would have my 1-year anniversary of my women's basketball podcast. So every February 26th, before we stopped it, we would do like a 2-hour show and bring everyone that was a part of the network back into the fold for an hour or 2 hours long, just to talk about, how things have been. So believe me, folks, we have some great stuff planned. I know I have some stuff planned. But with that, I will shut my trap now. I know it's been a very long final thought segment here, but I do, folks, know damn well that John and Isaiah, we all share the same sentiments for our great fans out there that, again, have tuned in every single weeknight. And again, folks, I know that we had just gone from we were only Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with a couple of the shows. And then we sat down and kind of talked things over when we did the network realignment pretty much with shows. And that's when I got the idea for the night shift and just ways to improve it. And I think that the fans have responded beautifully. John, I do want to kind of go to you real quick before we do. In fact, believe me, folks, we are going to sign off here, but John, I want to go to you and go to Isaiah as well. But John, man, I know that, of course, that, you're fairly new to this whole thing, man. I've been doing this for a little bit. But John, though, we've been talking about 700 listens on Anchor and, 4,000 likes on Facebook. But John, if you can maybe sum it up in about a minute or 2 minutes here, how special has it been for you, though, to be, probably out of your comfort zone, going from writing to podcasting and being a part, though, of the MI6 family, man? Because, again, it's been a very great blessing for all of us to be a part of each other's lives and, again, helping each other out. And, of course, as well, being one of the, and again, though, everyone's hard work to make this network possible.
Well, Callan and Isaiah, everything in life, I believe, happens for a reason. We are put in places for a reason, and we encounter people in our lives for a reason. And there's a reason that we all, met each other. I think it's great because we all share the same passions. We all love sports, and it feels very special to wake up every morning knowing that I have a group of guys who are very supportive, who share the same dream that I do, and who are aiming to do big things. And I always tell people, especially young kids that I talk to, I always tell them, if you want to be successful in life, you have to surround yourself with successful people, those who are doing the same thing that you're doing. And so, since I joined the MI6 family, which is a wonderful network, thanks to Steven, thanks to Martin, thanks to everybody that's part of this network. I don't really want to leave anybody out because everyone who's a part of this network has made it what it is. But it's beautiful to wake up every morning knowing that I can put a smile on someone's face. That means a lot to me. Being able to, make people happy. And when you talk sports, you can do that. Your voice can be what someone might need to hear that morning. You don't know if that person might be going through a tough day, and they might just say, "Hey, you know what? Let me turn on a podcast and listen to these guys talk about sports and rant for a few hours about sports." And that's what is so rewarding about journalism. And I think that's why I'm chasing this dream so much. That's why I'm pursuing this profession, because I want to be able to interact with sports fans. It's exciting to get to interact with sports fans and get to know people from around the world, because there are people all over the world who love sports, and this is one way we can touch people's lives. Sports, it's one thing in our country that brings us together. It's sports, and this is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. And I know money's not everything, but the reason I talk about making money in this is because I want to be able to focus on this full time. And I want to be able to do what I love and get paid to do it. To me, this doesn't feel like work at all, because it's something that I enjoy doing and I relish every moment. So that's why I want to turn it into a career. So one, I could focus on it more. Two, I can get paid doing something I love. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. I just want to be financially comfortable, have the things that I need, have the things that I want. And I think that's every person's dream. And why not do it by doing something you love? So sports, it's something that I've always loved tremendously, and I'm just happy to be a part of this network, and I'm happy that I'm able to do something that I love, and I thank our Heavenly Father for blessing me with these wonderful gifts to be able to share my voice with sports fans around the world.
Absolutely. And again, Pastor Mathis dropping the gospel on us as well. Real quick, Stephen from behind the scenes, real quick, says, network is glad to have Callan, John, and Isaiah. You guys are a fantastic team. Also, Callan, feel free to reach out to me for a reference or recommendation anytime. As Stephen actually did that for me on LinkedIn a couple days ago. Very classy gesture by Mr. Wang from behind the scenes. And also honorable statements by John and Callan tonight. Gotta love the fight and the passion in these two fellas. I try, believe me. With that in mind, Isaiah, like we said, though, man, again, a lot of props to you, though, man, for, again, finding you and Stephen for, again, starting off the MI6 Sports Network, again, all by virtue of it being done via carpool chats many, 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 many months ago. But again, Isaiah, again, I can't thank you and Stephen enough for the chance to bring the show over here to the six. And Isaiah, we'll let you kind of further add on to your final thoughts, but more so, man, about, again, the entire network family. And again, man, hitting 700 listens via the Anchor podcast app, going for hopefully 1,000 very, very shortly.
It's unbelievable, man. I think it was like 1 or 2 years ago when me and Steven sat down in the car, and I think the reason why we created Carpool Chats was because he had said some loony statement about how the Orlando Magic were not going to make the playoffs, and then I started taking my phone. I took my phone out and started filming him so I could get him on record, and then I could roast him later on when the Magic didn't make the playoffs. And who knew that moment right there would turn into something special and turn into something big like we've created, man. It is really astonishing to see how far we have come. Jonathan, when you first asked me to do this podcast, Wild Sports Talk, with you and Callan, I was kind of hesitant at first because I already had two podcasts. I wasn't really working at that time, but I already had two podcasts, but I agreed to do it anyways, and it's been the best decision I've made because I met you, Callan. Without doing this, I wouldn't have met you, and also getting to do this podcast with you, John, is hella fun as well. We have such great chemistry, so it's been the best decision I've made in my life, and it's just. Callan, I think you said it well. This network is truly like a family. We may bicker sometimes when it comes to sports, but at the end of the day, man, we all love each other. We have just like we're all great friends, and it's just so great to be a part of it because I know you never get this kind of environment a lot of the time. So I hope that we continue to do this, and I know we're gonna do a lot of big things here on the MI6 Sports Network. It's just a matter of time.
Just a matter of time for sure. And again, folks, we didn't want to go too deep, but again, we had to get a lot off our chest with our final thoughts. Again, folks, thank you again so much for the support over the past several months. Again, over 700 listens on Anchor. Isaiah, do you want to make a point? What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I gotta say this, Callan. When you went on your 30-minute rant, it felt like about the MI6 Sports Network. I gotta say, man, I was really emotionally touched. The reason why I didn't have my camera on, it's because I didn't want to be shown crying on air and for me to turn into the second coming of the Michael Jordan meme. So that's the only way. But what a powerful statement, man. Really powerful by you and John. Really loved it.
Thank you very much. We try every so often. Real quick, as mentioned, Stephen, again, honorable statements made by John and Callan tonight. Gotta love the fight and the passion in these two gentlemen. I greatly appreciate that. Also, real quick, Stephen writes, it is cool that Isaiah and I went from acquaintances to great friends, and I was able to meet such amazing people through him and him through me, and probably one of the most impactful people and persons in my life. How about that one, Isaiah? Goodness, man, that's pretty awesome right there. And also, Christy says, discovering this network has been, for me, very awesome. That is great to hear with that, folks. We will see you back here, folks, as mentioned, on a Wednesday night when we get back here, folks, for WST with myself, Mr. Mathis, and Isaiah Leung back here on Wednesday. And, of course, folks, the night shift is back on air at 10 o'clock tomorrow night with myself and Isaiah staying up late to recap your sports day back here on the MI6 Sports Network. Till next time, folks, have a good rest of your night. Take care. Stay safe. And so long, and don't get a bounty put on your head by Boba Fett as well. Till next time, folks, good night. Bye-bye.